Hello students, let us move on to the next sum based on graphical method. Solve the following simultaneous equations graphically, and the equations are 5x minus 6y plus 30 is equal to 0. The second equation is 5x plus 4y minus 20 is equal to 0. Now in this sum, especially in the first equation, that is 5x minus 6y plus 30 is equal to 0, we need to learn something very important from the assumptions perspective. We will follow the same steps, similar concept, just that assumption would be a little different. How different? Let's see. Let's take the very first equation, that is 5x minus 6y plus 30 is equal to 0. As we all know, the bigger coefficient variable should be along with the constant. So 6y and 30 should be together on one side, and because it is minus 6y, let us shift it to the other side so that it becomes plus 6y, and 30 also to the other side so that it becomes minus 30, right? So what we get is 5x is equal to 6y minus 30. But as we all know, we don't want the value of 5x, we want the value of x, right? So let us take this 5 to the denominator and you get x is equal to 6y minus 30, the bigger variable coefficient and the constant together, right? The bigger coefficient variable and the constant are together, and x is equal to 6y minus 30 upon 5. This arrangement is clear, right? Once we get this arrangement, let us now form the table with x, y and x comma y. Now we need to assume the values of y because y is in the right hand side. It is in the right hand side, RHS, right? Let's start with 0 because there is a denominator. We need to be careful. We can't just take 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's start with 0. When y is equal to 0, x is equal to, let's see the calculation, 6 into 0 minus 30 upon 5. 6 into 0 is 0, minus 30 upon 5, that's minus 30 upon 5, which is equal to minus 6. So when y is equal to 0, x is equal to minus 6, an absolute valid point which can be easily plotted on the graph paper, minus 6 comma 0. Now because y is equal to 0 is a valid assumption, if you remember, the next assumption has to be in a gap of 5. In the sense, we need to go on adding the denominator to this 0. So the next assumption has to be 0 plus 5, which is 5. Let's take y is equal to 5. What happens? Let's see. When y is equal to 5, 6 into 5 minus 30 upon 5, that's 30 minus 30 upon 5, that's 0 upon 5, which is equal to 0. So when y is equal to 5, x is equal to 0 and the point is 0 comma 5. 0, 5, next point has to be 10, right? I know 10 is the topmost point, but then can't help it. We need to take 0, 5, 10, right? So you need to adjust on the graph paper properly. Just take care of the presentation here, which is very, very important, right? Let's start. When y is equal to 10, you get x is equal to 6 into 10 minus 30 upon 5, which is 60 minus 30 upon 5, that's 30 upon 5, which is equal to 6. So when y is equal to 10, x is equal to 6, the point is 6 comma 10. Now something important. 0, 5, 10, next has to be 15. But we cannot take y is equal to 15 because y is equal to 15, you will not be able to fit it on the graph paper, right? 10 is the topmost point on the y-axis, right? So we need to take minus 5. That is what we have learnt. If the value is something bigger than what we can actually plot on the graph paper, then we need to take the negative number. Now here the problem is, if we take y as minus 5, it will be 6 into minus 5, that's minus 30. Minus 30 minus 30 will be minus 60. Minus 60 upon 5 will be minus 12. X is equal to minus 12. You cannot plot it on the graph paper because on the x axis 8 or 9 would be the maximum point which you can fit, right? So here the problem is we cannot take y as 15. So the other option was to take y as minus 5. But if we take y as minus 5, Again there is a problem because then x will be minus 12, which you cannot plot on the graph paper. So what do we do in such a scenario? This is what I said in the beginning, that we need to learn something here. Now always remember that in such a scenario where even when you cannot take y as 15, you cannot take y as minus 5, you can also take, you can assume a number between 0 and 5. What is a number between 0 and 5? It is 2.5, right? So half of the denominator between 0 and 5 is 2.5. Then you need to assume y as 2.5. Remember this, right? 2.5 will also be a valid assumption. Normally we avoid, you can do it in every sum, but normally we avoid because we don't want to deal with decimals, right? But in this sum we don't have a choice because you cannot assume 15, you cannot assume minus 5. So now what we did, the first assumption and the denominator, we took the middle value of the two, 0 and 5, the middle value is 2.5, so we took that as an assumption for the value of y. Clear? Now let's see what happens when y is equal to 2.5. So when y is equal to 2.5, you get x is equal to 6 into 2.5 minus 30 upon 5. That's 15 minus 30 upon 5. That's minus 15 upon 5. That's minus 3. An absolutely valid point to be plotted on the graph paper, that is minus 3 comma 2.5. So this is one thing, one difference to whatever we have learned so far, this assumption of 2.5. But I hope you all are very clear why did we go for this assumption, that is 2.5, right? Now let's move on to the next table. Next table is simple. 5x plus 4y minus 20 is equal to 0. Let us shift 5x and 20 to the other side. You get minus 20 goes to the other side, becomes plus 20. 5x goes to the other side, becomes minus 5x. But then we don't want 4y, we want y, and to get y we need to shift that 4 to the denominator, and when 4 goes to the denominator you get y is equal to 20 minus 5x upon 4. After that you draw the table, that's x, y, x comma y. You need to assume the values of x, right, because x is in the right hand side. To assume the values of x, we start with 0. We cannot take directly 0, 1, 2, 3 because there is a denominator, right. So let's start with x is equal to 0. Let's see what happens. Let's see the calculations. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 20 minus 5 into 0 upon 4. That's 20 minus 0 upon 4. That's 20 upon 4, which is equal to 5. An absolutely valid point when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 5, 0 comma 5, easily plottable on the graph paper, right? Because x is equal to 0 is a valid assumption, next assumption will be 0 plus 4, that's 4, right? Let's assume x as 4, we get 20 minus 5 into 4 upon 4, that's 20, minus 20 upon 4, that's 0, upon 4, that's 0. X is 4, y is 0, the point is 4 comma 0. 0 done, 4 done, the next has to be 8, 4 plus 4, right? You go on adding the denominator. When x is equal to 8, let's check the calculations. You get y is equal to 20 minus 5 into 8 upon 4. That's 20 minus 40 upon 4. That's minus 20 upon 4, which is equal to minus 5. So when x is equal to 8, y is equal to minus 5, and the point is 8 comma minus 5. Now 0 done, 4, 8, cannot take 12 on the x-axis because on the x-axis 9 is the maximum point, right? So now you need to go for the negative value, that is minus 4, right? When we take x as minus 4, what happens? Y is equal to 20 minus 5 into minus 4 upon 4, that's 20, minus 5 into minus 4 is plus 20, right? So you get 20 plus 20 upon 4, that's 40 upon 4, which is equal to 10. 10 is an absolutely valid value, the topmost value on the y-axis. So when x is equal to minus 4, y is equal to 10, the point is minus 4 comma 10. So the second table was very, very easy, right? Once you are done with this, now let's draw the graph, lines, axis, origin, scale. Don't forget the question number. Now let's start plotting the points. The very first point is minus 6 comma 0, and because the y coordinate is 0, the point will be on the x-axis at minus 6. 0 comma 5, the x coordinate is 0, so the point will be on the y axis at 5, right? 0 comma 5. 6 comma 10 in the first quadrant, minus 3 comma 2.5. Now 2.5 will be between 2 and 3, right? So minus 3 comma 2.5 in the second quadrant. So just be careful, it should be between 2 and 3, as you all can see. All the 4 points are collinear, just join them. Don't forget to write the equation on it, the equation which is given in the question. Now let's move on to the second table. Second table, first point is 0 comma 5 will definitely be on y axis because the x coordinate is 0, right? 4 comma 0 will be on the x axis because y coordinate is 0. 8 comma minus 5 will be in the fourth quadrant, and minus 4 comma 10 will definitely be in the second quadrant. Now you can see all the 4 points are collinear, just join them and don't forget to write the equation on it, right? Once both the lines are done, just check the point of intersection. The point of intersection is very clearly 0 comma 5, and because the point of intersection is 0 comma 5 on the main answer sheet, below the tables, don't forget to write the final answer, that the solution of the given simultaneous equation is x comma y, that is 0 comma 5. As simple as that.